All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Wanted to come on here today, man. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm kind of tired. I've had meetings all day. That's why I'm only really getting to this now. But I did want to come on here and talk about, or at least discuss the press conference that happened earlier today in Flowery Branch with the Atlanta Falcons introducing their new president of football, Mr. Matty Ice. Matt Ryan, the new president of football for the Atlanta Falcons, also maybe the greatest player in the history of the Atlanta Falcons, back where he belongs, back home with the Atlanta Falcons, sitting next to Arthur Blank and Greg Beadle. So I am going to get into the press conference. I actually myself have not even watched the press conference. I've heard some of the stuff that's been said. It is about an hour, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to the press conference, and then once I'm done with it, I'll open up the panel to all of you. I'll get that going as I am watching the press conference. Really just all out of sorts here, man. All out of sorts. Kind of been busy all day today. Also tired. But um, definitely, I feel like I do need to owe it to y'all that whenever something comes out with the Atlanta Falcons, I report on it and I'm on top of it for y'all and we can have a discussion about it. This is a channel for y'all. It's a channel for the fans to come on here and voice your opinions about what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons as it currently stands. So that is what we're going to do here. I'm about to start the press conference, and after that, we'll open up the panel to any discussion. But here it is, the press conference with the Atlanta Falcons' new president of football, Matt Ryan.
Good morning, everybody. Supposed to say good morning back. Good morning back. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm looking for. There they are. There's Sarah. How are you?
Great.
And boys, Johnny, Marshall, Cal. Welcome today. It's an exciting day for your family. Okay. Well, you weren't here 20 years ago, were you? No, about 20 years ago, 2008, we drafted your dad.
It's crazy to think it's
And,
been nearly 20 years ago.
He led us to an incredible 14 years, the best 14 years in the history of our franchise, both on the field and off the field. And then left, went on to CBS and did an incredible job there for 3 years. So he's coming back in a very unique position, a chance to kind of relive history for us for the next 14 years.
Shoot. I apologize for the ads.
Watching the art, the artistry.
But Cal has an opinion. Okay. So we're really thrilled. I'm addressing the family, but everybody else here, all of our fans. But we couldn't be happier having Matt back in the position that he is at now, which is the president of football. Basically, that means everything between football and grass he is responsible for. And with his success both on the field and leadership, really throughout the NFL over that period of time, we feel he's a perfect choice. We did go through a pretty rigorous process. We interviewed a total of 5 people, including Matt, some other really good candidates. But we felt for all the reasons that I've expressed previously. So this is the third time I've talked about your dad in this kind of situation. One was when we drafted him in 2008, and Mom and Dad were together then. And I'm talking to the boys again over here. And then the second time was when Dad retired as a Falcon, and we were able to sign him to his last contract with us. And the third time was when he was inducted into our Ring of Honor. So Matt Ryan has been an incredibly special player, leader, and couldn't represent our team better, couldn't represent the National Football League better. During this process, I had a chance to chat with Commissioner Roger Goodell and made him aware we're chatting with Matt, and his response was that, you're not going to find anybody better, smarter, more committed, a better human being, a better leader, for the NFL and for your franchise. So we're thrilled to have him here. We're trying to get through this real quickly because we want to turn it over to this guy and give him the chance to, answer all your questions and what have you. I do want to thank the members of the search committee, who included Greg Beatles, our president and CEO, my middle son, Josh Blank, sitting over here, who's our vice president of executive strategy.
I'm sorry, this is probably going to be the only time I pause, at least I hope. But very interesting that Arthur Blank for the first time has actually acknowledged his son, Josh, who has been attached to his hip the past 2 years on the sidelines and basically everywhere Arthur goes is concerning the Falcons. And the guy who I'm led to believe, I think we're all led to believe, will be the heir apparent to the throne whenever Arthur Blank decides to step down, or his day to meet the Lord comes, whenever that is.
Is that the correct title, Josh? That is correct. And Rustin Webster, has been with us for 39 years. Where's Rustin? Is he here someplace? Not here, but so the four of us, including myself, were involved in the search for Matt's position. After we selected him, he signed his contract on Saturday morning. All of the coach interviews have been led by Matt. He's been involved in all of them, and will obviously be involved in all the coach and GM searches, interviews as we go forward. I don't think anything else. The process of filling out this position, which is new for our club, and head coaches and general managers in the NFL, is very much of a gated control process for a lot of reasons. The guy who understands that probably better than anybody else inside of the organization is Greg Beatles, our CEO. And Greg's going to take a couple of minutes and talk about the process and talk about where we are in the process and talk about what we got to do going forward and what our plans are. And then we'll flip it to Matt to answer questions and go take it from there. But it's a huge day of celebration for Atlanta, for our fans, for football, for the National Football League, I would say, as well as certainly our franchise. And for me, it's an honor and a pleasure, again, to work with Matt in a different capacity, but a critical one for the next 14 years. So, and maybe beyond that as well. So, Matt, thank you very much for your trust and your commitment to us and commitment to Atlanta. And Sarah, thank you, and thank the boys, because I know you were definitely a big part of all this. So, thank you, boys, too. Appreciate that. Wave, hi. And the boys they're out of school today.
That's right.
So today's really a big day for them as well. So, Greg, let me flip it to you.
Okay, yes, sir. Well, thank you, Arthur, and thank all you guys for being here. Good morning. We don't take for granted you guys being here and supporting us the way that you do, so thank you for that. First of all, I'm very grateful to Arthur. I'm humbled to continue to serve this team, this community and city. I've been with the club for quite a while, a lot of different roles. Every year I can say it feels like it's a different job, different challenges, different opportunities. I've been able to learn from a whole lot of people inside and outside of the building over my time here. I am super excited to have Matt here. We've stayed in touch, known each other since 2008.
That's right, long time.
And he's one of our legends, and like everybody that's been here, we try to pull them in as much as possible. And Matt's certainly one of those guys we stayed in touch with for those reasons, for sure. We both feel we're going to have a great partnership. We already do. great alignment along with Arthur as well, just a vision for the team, and let Matt cover that, of course. And, just cover, as Arthur said, just a little bit of the timeline. He mentioned last week we lined up and interviewed 5 different candidates for the president of football role. At the end of the week, wanted to engage with Matt and see if we could get that done. He is a tenacious negotiator, just like he was tenacious on the field, but we got everything worked out and just couldn't be happier to have him here. And then we just threw him right in the fire, starting Saturday. We've had, as you guys have seen, 6 head coach interviews in the last 3 days. It all kind of starts running together for us, but those have just been fantastic. Matt leading those has been wonderful. Just seeing, the respect back and forth from these coaches and how excited, interested they are to meet with us and talk about the opportunity here has been super encouraging. We have a few more head coach interviews that we're working on, so you hear about those over the next few days as we finish those, just like we've been confirming them after they're done. And we have not had any GM interviews yet. We're working on that process, going through lists, and we'll begin that soon. It'll be like a little bit of a concurrent, 2 concurrent searches going on. Now that we're in, I guess, Matt, your 4th day, we're gonna start adding in some GM things as well. So that's the big picture where we are, and it's been a great process so far, great interviews so far that we've had. So, Matt, I'll turn it over to you, man.
Number one, I want to start by saying thank you to Arthur for this opportunity. I think I'm not sure, I should have looked this up before, but we've been busy the last couple days. But I think I'm the first player you've signed to 5 different contracts. So that's 3 as a player, the one day when I retired, and now this one. Appreciate the confidence in me along the way. No, I am so excited to be back a part of this organization. Being drafted back in 2008, having been to Atlanta twice in my life, once for a recruiting visit to Georgia Tech, and then once playing at Georgia Tech. I didn't know much about the city before I got here. And now here we are, however many years later, and it's home. It really is. The people in this city have made it home. The fans of the Falcons have made it home. And the people of this organization have made it home. And to be able to come back and be a part of it, albeit in a different way, but to be a part of it is incredibly exciting for me. I said it, in kind of some preliminary quotes, but, I'm sitting at the same table, but my seat has changed. And in a lot of ways, that makes it comfortable. I know Greg, I know Josh, I know Rustin, I know Carl, I know so many folks that are helping us through this process, which has made it easier because signing, my contract on Saturday morning and then being in an interview 2 hours later is not the easiest thing, on the planet. But to have, a previous both professional and personal relationship with the folks that are all a part of this process has been, extremely helpful. To the Falcons fans, my mission since I was drafted has never changed. It is to help this organization do everything it can to be champions and to win championships. And, there is a sense of unfinished business of, we were close at times and we had some success here and there.
Okay, Richardson, the holidays are done.
We thought so too, but then Verizon just gave us their best deal.
But I truly believe we're going to get there and have full faith in the people that we have in this building and the folks that are going to be coming into this building are going to help us get there. To the former players, my former teammates, so many of which have reached out in the last couple of days. I love you guys. I appreciate how excited you guys are. Can't wait to get all of you guys back in the building to bring that energy.
I just gotta say, because I may forget about it, when I'm recapping this whole thing. Him talking about that. I wonder if any of that includes Julio Jones. I would hope it does. I mean, he talks about a lot of former players, and the Falcons, I mean, have good relationships with their former players. I think for the most part, but obviously, I think outside of Matt Ryan, the one that everyone obviously wonders about of all his former teammates is Julio. So I would hope he's definitely included in that.
Of former players, the former connection. We've got one here right now, Dave Archer. That kind of stuff means a lot to a building. I know that from sitting in those seats as players, when you see former guys come back, and the respect that the guys in our locker room have for that. That's going to be an important part of my time here, because you guys have paved the way for the guys that are coming in and a part of it right now. And look forward to that being a strong part of who we are as an organization. And then, finally to my family who's sitting right here. I got, which Arthur mentioned, Marshall, Johnny, Cal, and Sarah, who are all hanging out in the front row. My twins are 7, and they claim to remember me being on the field, but I think it's more just on their iPhone or on my iPhone looking at YouTube or something like that, that has kind of made the memories. But for these guys to grow up around this building with the special people that are in this building and to be a part of it is really exciting for me. Cal, the fact that we have Gatorades here and you can slug them, that's going to be really fun. But to my wife Sarah, I've said this, you guys have heard me talk about Sarah before, but I would not have been the player I was here if not for the support of her. And I certainly wouldn't have been able to do what I've done the last couple of years with CBS and the traveling and all of that if I didn't have incredible support at home and an incredible mother and wife. And she's the reason, she's the reason why I can do this. It's going to require a full commitment and all of my effort, attention, and just all of it, all of everything that I have. And she's the only person I could do this with. And I love you and appreciate that. So couldn't be more excited. Happy to answer questions as we open this up, but can't wait to get started later today with some more.
All right, you guys can raise your hands for questions.
I want to take 1 second and thank the folks at the CBS, Dave Beerson, the whole crew at CBS that was really very collaborative and cooperative in working with Matt and us and allowing us to have this conversation and end up where we are today. So special thanks to our media partner as well.
All right,
Sorry.
start with Marie Martin.
Matt, congratulations.
Thank you.
Obviously, your football resume, especially here in this building, speaks for itself, but this is a new opportunity and challenge for you in a lot of different ways. Why do you believe that this was the right opportunity for you at this time, and simply why do you think you're going to be good at it?
I think it's the right opportunity. Number one, I think when you look at organizations and you think about places you'd like to be, it comes down to ownership. Bill Cowher, I've sat next to him for the last 3 years, and he would hammer that home all the time. He would joke the 3 most important people in the building are the owner, and the owner. And so when you get an opportunity with a previous relationship and knowing what Arthur stands for. And what his family stands for, and you respect all of those core values. To me, that's what makes it so exciting in terms of an opportunity. I also think, I really enjoyed every moment of the last 3 years, calling games and being a part of the studio show the last 2 years, the NFL Today. That crew's incredible. The guys on the desk, the people behind the scenes are unbelievable, and they become your team. But it's hard to replicate, having the wins and losses and the work that goes into that, and a result, like a result every Sunday. And that was something that I never shied away from as a player, and something, that frankly I missed during my time at CBS. So getting back into that, gets me excited. I think, as you mentioned, not having previous experience in a role like this, nobody does. I've been around guys who have been hired as first-time head coaches after being a play caller. And I've been around coaches who have been position coaches and never play callers. And they step into different roles and they adjust. And that's something that, I've done my entire life. Whether that be in football or whether that be transitioning into TV or doing things. I've never been scared of that. I think my working relationship with coaches and with general managers throughout my 14 years here and my one in Indy, is different from a lot of players. I think when you are a quarterback of an organization for a long time, the interactions that you have with the head coach and the meetings that you sit in their office and talk about all the different things that are going on with the football team, and decisions that need to be made, or alterations in a plan, or in a season, of maybe changing directions. It's different from other players. So I feel really well versed in those conversations, and I feel
you don't need a second job. You just need to learn how to talk to AI.
So this.
Like, I've done it with a number of different guys that I have a lot of respect for and seen it from a lot of different angles. And I think the same can be true, on the front office side of it. The longer I was here, the more discussions that were had. It was never I was going to be a part of the decision, but I was asked for my opinion, and I was asked to interact with them. So I think some of those things will inform, what I'm doing now. I've got a lot to learn. There's no doubt about that. But in preparing for this, I talked to a lot of people from around the league, who have moved on as players, and I'm able to multitask. I can listen to noise in the background and not panic and keep going. No, but I talked to a lot of guys that I know from around the league who have made similar types of transitions, and picked their brain about what that might look like, and what it meant for them, and what were the struggles, what were the pitfalls, what were some of the things, that weren't on their radar that should be. And I think some of those relationships that I have from around the league, whether it be execs or coaches, owners, GMs, et cetera, I'm going to lean on those. And I feel like I've got really strong relationships both inside and outside the building that are going to help me in this role.
We'll go to Bailey. We'll go Mark. Do you let Mark across the front row?
You mentioned that, you got this new position and then you were in interviews. I'm curious, how will you evaluate a head coach differently than maybe some other front office execs around the league?
Well, I can't speak for how other people do it, or what their process is or is not. I know there are certain things from my perspective as a player that you look for. Character, being one of those. I think emotional stability. It's hard. It's a really difficult job to do, and there's lots of highs and lows, and some of the best guys that I was around in those positions were very stable emotionally, and that's certainly one thing I'll be looking for. And I think there's got to be a level of presence that you have to have, as a coach, and the ability to command respect of your players. It doesn't mean, you've got to be the most vocal or the best interview or the best in a press conference. It just means you've got to be able to connect with the players that you have. And so, I view it from the lens of what I always wanted and what I needed from coaches. And some of the best that I was around. And I think you take all of those, I see Buck sitting here, he knows it, right? Like, you learn a little bit from each of the coaches that you're around at different stops, and you pull some of those things and you say, oh man, I'm looking for somebody that has some of those qualities and some of these qualities and some of those qualities. And, I think that informs, my ability to listen and to evaluate different coaches that we have the opportunity to talk to.
Front right, Mark.
D-Led, I've been waiting for this one.
All right, my man.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
14 years.
Lots of these. Lots of these.
Lots of them before. Hey, just want to know, Matt, what are you looking for in terms of fit and clarity of vision in terms of the head coach and general manager, make sure that they have the same clarity of vision that Mr. Blank alluded to that was needed to move forward here?
Yeah, I think you're working, you're looking for two people that, don't see the game polar opposite. I think it's difficult if you've got, just a different view on how to best move forward. So we're looking for, people that are aligned in that vision. We're looking for people that work well together, and that doesn't mean, best friends. You've got to have a professional and really strong working relationship. And sometimes that comes with seeing things a little bit differently. But the best of the best find ways to get to common ground. And I think as we go through both of these searches, both the head coach and the GM, as we're going along that lane at the same time, that's what we're looking for. We're looking to find two people that we feel like are excellent in their role and what they're asked to do, but also, can provide a really strong working relationship together.
Mark.
Matt, can you sort of, and Arthur as well, talk through the sort of ranking structure and decision-making process as you go through this? I mean, is this a case where you'll have the final say on GM and coach and draft and things of that nature? What's the sort of expanse of your authority, so to speak?
Yeah, I think Arthur has been really clear to me with what that structure is going to look like. And, ultimately, Arthur's football team is his football team, but I understand the task that has been laid at my hands. That is to lead this process along with, the guys that and women that are along for that. But ultimately, we're going to come together. We're going to work collaboratively, and we'll make a recommendation to Mr. Blank of what we think. But I'm comfortable with that.
I think one of the things that's important to stress, which would be important for, all the coach candidates and GM candidates, is that, and Matt's made it clear to me, he has no desire to do their job. The coach will pick the coaches, position coaches, coordinators, et cetera, GMs will, style out their whole organization, helping through draft and free agency, et cetera. So, Matt will be involved in that, but Matt did not sign up to do their job. He signed up to get the best people for them to do their job with his support, his wisdom, and his guidance based on his experience. And that's what I'm looking for.
If you're an illegal alien, this runway is your future because you're headed home. I'm Christy No.
We'll go Mark Ramondi, then to Terrence.
I guess for any one of you guys, and congrats, Matt, on the new position. The interviews for president of football that were already conducted, those candidates, will they also be candidates for the GM role as well?
Mark, so we're going through that process right now to determine, and Matt can jump in on. There's several people that we're interested in, so some of those folks may be part of the next process that we go through. We haven't fully determined that yet, but they certainly could be.
Terrence, back.
Yeah, Arthur and I talked about this last week, that you guys, Arthur believes in a collective type of decision-making type of process, but he said that somebody's got to make the final decision. So when it comes to football decisions, I'm talking to Matt, will you make the final decision, whether it's big or small? And then the second question would be, When it comes to general manager, what's going to be the difference between what you do and what the general manager does?
Okay, so that's a loaded question because it's very open-ended on final decision. Final decision on what? That is the question. Yeah, there's a lot that goes with that. So the final decision that head coaches have are going to be the final decisions of the head coach. The final decisions that general managers have are going to be the final decision of our general manager. As I look at it right now, the final decision that I'm going to have to make in this immediate process with kind of Arthur's approval is who we hire for those two positions. But we are empowering them to go out there and do their job. And I've expressed that in our interviews, I think, as well with the head coaches that we've had. I'm not trying to call plays. I'm not trying to run your offense. I'm not trying to pull Philip Rivers and come back and play. I'm not doing any of those. I think most importantly, I'm trying to get the right person in here in both of those positions. And I'm trying to support you in any way that I can. I know the stressors that are put on, a head coach and a general manager, and the number of different directions that they're pulled. I view my job as taking some of those things off their plate in terms of the responsibilities and allowing them to focus on their superpower, which is coaching the football team and acquiring and scouting and looking for the best players we can find.
What about the difference between you and the general manager?
Yeah, the difference is I'm not doing the scouting. I'm not doing running those meetings. Our general manager will do that. The general manager role is going to be exactly the same as what it's been here before, and that's something we've made clear to everybody on the coaching side that we've met with up until this point, and we'll make clear through that process to the general managers that we're going to look at in that process as well.
Terrence, anybody in either of those positions, I mean, they're not going to want to compromise the best people, which is the only people we're talking to. They will have no interest in compromising their job and be less of who they could be and should be in their role. And Matt has no desire to maximize his role with them or to overstep his role. His job is going to be primarily to make sure we hire the very best coach and coaching staff that we can, the very best general manager and the staff that he or she will be producing, and make sure he gives them the kind of servant leadership that we provide throughout our whole organization. Everything in all of our businesses, including the Falcons, starts with an inverted pyramid with the people we serve on top, which is our fans, and it goes down. I'm at the very lowest bottom. Here is a servant leader to support the whole system. And Matt, in terms of football,
Gotta interrupt again. I said that I was trying to avoid this. What Mr. Blank just laid out is actually, just to make a little note, this is the same model he used at Home Depot. And, this is clearly not changed. There's some stuff that, I'll talk about all of it once the press conference is over. But that is a Mr. Blank Home Depot model.
will be in that role as well. I mean, he'll be the servant leader, providing leadership, support, wisdom, guidance, enthusiasm, everything that's needed. But, encourage people. They got to do their own jobs. That's our job, is to hold people accountable as coaches and general managers and obviously as players as well.
We'll go to Allison, followed by Justin.
Matt, I know this is a new position, but when did something like this come on your radar? Like, did you ever see yourself being in a front office role? And once you do hire a head coach or a GM, what is your job after that?
So the first part of your question, I didn't. I was really happy, with what I was doing at that time with CBS and excited about that opportunity. And I want to make it clear, this is the only place I would do it, and I feel really connected to this organization, and have my entire life, adult life. So from that standpoint, I would say no. But what does my job look like after? That's a great question. As we've done these interviews, I've been thinking about that myself because we're diving into these things, and I'm like, okay, we got work to do, and this is busy and it's intense. But I do think it comes down to where can I support, depending on who it is at the head coach position or who it is at the general manager position. In what ways can I help? And that's really how I view it. Everybody has different personality types. Everybody has different strengths and different weaknesses. I think one of the areas I can provide support to people who are coming in that are new is the relationships that I have here that are previously established, and helping grow those relationships as quickly as possible, because that's one of the things I believe in. The separation in this league happens from the people in the building. And the faster everybody gets on the same page, and the faster we get to know each other, and the faster we create, really strong working relationships, the better our chances of being successful on the field are. So, from my opinion, that's one of the biggest roles and responsibilities post-hires.
We'll go Justin, followed by Joe, and then Josh.
Hey, Matt. Congratulations, first of all. You've prepared game plans and prepared for broadcasts over the past years. In the here and now, you're in these coach and GM interviews. How did you get ready for those? How did you decide what questions to ask? And ultimately, how will you decide how you'll make those big decisions?
Yeah, I did a lot of game plans, a lot of prep for TV. I also learned in both of those, you got to be able to adjust and you got to be able to adapt and get with things, quickly. So it's a little bit of feeling out. I think in that first, couple minutes of the first interview that we did, it's a little bit of feeling out. But, Greg and Rustin and Josh, I think were incredibly helpful of printing out a format for me and saying, we're going to work through this format and we can make adjustments as we go. But I feel like the process and what they had laid out from the start was incredibly helpful. The good part is you're talking about football. Right, and you're talking about things that I've spent my entire life doing and being around, and I think from that standpoint, once you get into a lot of these conversations, that becomes very comfortable for me, in an area that I really enjoy and lean into, and so at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to find out, right? How you feel about football, what kind of leadership you're going to provide. Those are things that, I feel like I have a really, strong wealth of knowledge on.
Joe?
Matt, Joe Patrick here, 92.9 The Game. You mentioned that you were able to pick the brains of some of these former legendary players, frankly, who were able to rejoin their organizations in similar kinds of roles. Would you be willing to share any of those names of people you talked to? Would you liken your role to any of them, in particular the most, and any kind of imparting knowledge that they were able to share that stuck with you to this point?
No, I'm not gonna share names, but I think the overarching theme from former players that I've talked to is, and I talked about this on our show on CBS on Sunday. It's tough when you're done, and that's not an easy part of your life, especially when you've done it for such a long time, and there is this sense of you miss some of that being around the team or the locker room, but you miss the competitiveness, the result, the nature of being prepared and doing everything you can and then laying it all on the line and having that. There's a level of missing that, and I think that's one of the things that guys that I spoke to about is it's different than playing. That's what they say, but it does get your juices flowing, and that is one of the things that I'm excited about. I also think it's just you take that part out of it, the teamwork, being a part of something bigger than yourself, having no agenda, like zero agenda, and just wanting the best for this place is something that I think is really valuable, and that was something that those guys talked about as well.
Go to Josh to your right.
Hey, man.
Josh, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Congrats.
Thank you.
You mentioned looking for ways you can help. It feels like you've got some expertise on the quarterback position. I'm wondering what you think about this team's quarterback positioning, how you will try to help Michael Penix, and will you be involved in, the decision making at that position?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hired to come in and be the quarterback coach, but, I love Mike and have gotten to know him through the last couple of years here in Atlanta. So anything he needs from me, I'm a part of this organization and happy to help in any way that I can. But I'm not a coach. I'm not going to be that head coach or quarterback coach. If asked and if the relationship, with that department is right, happy to help in any way that I can. But, we want what's best for our players. I think everybody in this building, my view of it is that everybody here is in some way, shape, or form supporting the players that are on the field. And that's all of our responsibilities. And so it's working together to figure out, the right plan for Mike and his rehab. And that's, going to be our training room's job and our doctor's jobs and sports science and in the weight room. Everybody's responsibility to make sure that is going as planned. And that's really as simple as it gets. One of the things I learned as a player is it's, what's in front of you. And the next thing in front of Mike is the rehab process. And, he's already at it. I was in here yesterday morning and walking around, grabbing breakfast, walking back up to hop into a meeting, and he was in there, getting after his rehab. So he's in a good mental space right there and is doing exactly what he should be doing right now.
Go to Michael Cunningham, followed by Tori.
The reason we created these initial robots was to solve a pretty
Hi, Matt. Congratulations. Welcome back.
Thank you.
From the interviews that y'all have done, it seems like you're focused on the coach first instead of the GM. What's the thinking behind that? Is it just the timing of the whole situation?
I think it's the timing. I think we're focused on both and concurrently. I think Greg can speak to this too, but the way the rules are set up, getting in front of the coaching in our situation probably makes a little bit more sense for the first 3 days. We're 3 days into this process, or I guess today is the 4th, but 3 days into it. These will run as concurrently as possible together. But Greg can speak more to the schedule. I have to be honest with you. It's been great to have compliance and help in there with all the rules and what we can and cannot do and when we've got to do it, because there's a lot, and admittedly not an expert in that space, but that part, Greg can hit on a little bit better than I.
Maybe all I'd add, Michael, is just there are specific windows when we can talk to coaches, for example, that are in the playoffs, coaches that had the wild card bye. There's specific days we can talk to them and not others. So it's just more restrictive right now. When we talk to coaches, the GM's a little bit more open. And so, like Matt said, it'll be concurrent, but we've had to jump on head coach because of timing and league protocol.
Michael, let me add is that I think, Matt alluded to it earlier, it's important we land both of these planes about at the same time, because there has to be collaboration between these two individuals. So which one goes exactly first doesn't make a whole lot of difference. They've got to take turns, getting on the deck, if you will, but we want to make sure that vision-wise, compatibility-wise, mentally, and all the issues, they're going to work together, that they see the vision of football the same way, and they want to work together in a way that's respectful, doesn't mean always agree. So you want to kind of make those decisions, that are fully connected. The worst thing you can have in the NFL, or probably in any organization, is have a general manager and a head coach that don't see their roles the right way, the same way, and are trying to, make decisions based on a different set of standards. So we're very sensitive to that. And that goes both ways, GM and head coach.
Matt, hi. So in your introductory, you said that there was a sense of unfinished business that you still felt. I'm curious if you could put words to how that manifests for you in your drive to do what you're wanting to do here and for Mr. Blank and Beatles, how did that come across in his interviews? And did that come across in his interview?
Well, it's helping us win, and winning the right way with the right people. My role and my responsibility in that is different than it was during my time here before. But I've always been a part of team sports, and I wasn't always the quarterback, right? Like growing up playing basketball or playing baseball, I played different positions, and at different times, different positions, sometimes you're the assist guy, sometimes, you're the backup or whatever. So I played sports my entire life. I've been around it my entire life, and I love being in different parts and have different responsibilities. So my responsibilities and my impact are different than they were as a player, but there's nothing better than being a part of it in the locker room after a win, and that feeling that you get of knowing it took everybody in this building. Everybody's role in this building is huge. Everybody's role is huge. And so I always felt like as a player, we celebrated it all together. And we were appreciative of everybody's efforts because it takes everyone to win. And my role's different, my responsibilities are different, but we're here to win.
Yeah, let me just reinforce that. I mean, we do, as a franchise, we do a whole variety of things to be successful. Connect with players, connect with the community, give back, a whole variety of things. This role and this responsibility is primarily involved with one thing, winning football games. We have to win football games. That's our role. That's Matt's major job. Does it, with his own capacities and depending on leaning on others, et cetera, but it's about winning games. And that's what our focus in terms of what we're talking about today really has to be. It'll be consistent.
We'll go to Charles and Ken right next to him.
Matt, welcome back. You said on the CBS set Sunday that you hope at this time next year they're talking about the Falcons and the playoffs.
Yeah, specifically Bill Cowher. Yeah, yes.
Can you just talk about the talent that you saw as an analyst on this team now, and what you've heard from coach candidates about their opinion about this talent on this team?
Well, I won't speak to what any of the coaches have talked about in our interviews, but I believe there's a lot. There's a lot of young, talented players on the defensive side of the ball. We've got some offensive linemen who are really, really solid. Some of which I played with, which is kind of crazy, but really cool. I think we've got a special running back in Bijan and what he can do as a player. We've got some talented pieces on the outside. There's a lot of good pieces that are here, but I also recognize it's hard. I mean, it's difficult to win in this league, and it takes, it takes everyone. It takes everybody coming together and pulling their weight, and so I'm excited about what's here. I think there are a lot of strong pieces, and certainly confident in the players that we have in our building.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Matt, I will also welcome you, but I actually want to ask the question of the gentleman to your left.
Perfect.
Greg, you also have ascended to a pretty important position. You've been here a long time. I hope you could comment on your time here and your kind of the fulfillment of your aspirations, and Arthur and Matt, to whatever degree you'd like to add in on what Greg has done here. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. And like I said at the beginning, I just finished up my 31st season with the organization, and started out.
Yeah, well done, man.
Thank you, man. Got one fan here. Started out as an intern back in 1995, and was blessed to be able to stick around after that. Helped to sell the franchise to Arthur in 2001, and 2002 was his first season. And like I said before, after that, Arthur's a builder, and we haven't stopped since then. And I really do mean what I say before. Just every single year has been different. Been able to learn a lot of different things along the way. You know, on the business side, helping dream about Mercedes-Benz Stadium and what that turned into and everything that went into that. But just primarily helping Arthur and everybody else here build a sustainable organization, a thriving organization, so that we can invest back into the football team. That's why we exist, is to win championships. Arthur said that in his first press conference. His vision is to win championships on and off the field. So I have more touch on off the field things, and I think we've built a great team here. We have some just wonderful people, and now be excited about helping Matt on the field, supporting him and the guys, just everything they need to win.
Yeah, let me give Greg a shout out here too beforehand. So I mean, obviously I've known Greg since I got drafted here in 2008, and it's a different relationship, as a player. But like always really liked Greg and had a good relationship with him. But yeah, exactly. But didn't I wouldn't say like we weren't hanging out every day. And but since I retired, getting to know Greg and Arthur in a different way, I think that happens when you finish up as a player. Your relationships change and you get to know them, on a little bit different level. I had a ton of professional respect, from the outside looking in. The last 3 days, this guy's an ass kicker. Like, he is really, really good at what he does. And I have walked away very, very impressed with his level of organization, detail, just wisdom. And I am extremely lucky to be partnered with him and to be sitting next to him, because Greg is fantastic human being, but an excellent representation of this organization, and I love him. So appreciate Greg for everything he's done throughout the years, but everything he's done in the last 3 days as well.
We'll go to Sam Cranshaw and Gabe.
Hey, Matt, congratulations. Welcome back. And on behalf of everyone at CBS Atlanta, we congratulate you. We also work, because now we can't run those promos you
I
done
know.
for us.
That promo was solid, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, we can't run that anymore. I was here in 2008 when you came aboard. What would the 2026 Matt Ryan say to that guy, if you could, about what this place would come to mean to you?
Wow. Man, how lucky you are. How lucky you are to about to be starting this ride. And to go back and to be able to do that again, I'd sign up for it in a heartbeat, knowing all of it. Just incredibly special place. Got to fulfill a lifelong dream of playing in the NFL, but got to do it, in my opinion, in the best organization in the league, and to play for the best owner in the league. And to me, enjoy that. That's what I tell myself, at that time. And then, hey, 20 years from now, you might be doing something different. That's pretty cool too. So enjoy that.
Hey, Ken, I would add to your question before. I'm not going to add anything on to Greg, because there's no better words that have already been expressed. I feel the same enthusiasm for him and love for him and his family and everything he's done for us before I bought the team, and obviously since. And he'll be working very closely in support of Matt and the whole building in any variety of different ways. Also kind of would like to take a parental point and acknowledge my son Josh, who's since he's been back from the NFL, he worked for the NFL for 5 years after playing soccer and captaining at Elon. He's had great 5 years at the NFL, but he's brought back a tremendous amount of knowledge, wisdom of the league, growth, maturity, and perspective. That's been, very evident to me since he's been back, but particularly on the search committee. the candidates, on the 5 candidates that we interviewed for the role that Matt has. So call out to the young man over there with the curly hair. So.
You know what I miss most about playing? Yelling, "Hey!" So I got this job.
Dave, middle.
Matt, you touched on it a little bit, but what are the most important qualities in a coach aside from just pulling on the same rope? And on that end, it's been an NFL trend to hire these young offensive, play callers. Is that kind of a natural, preference, just given your kind of history and background?
No, I think we're looking for the best coach, whatever that may look like. Kirby Smart down the road, he's a defensive guy. He does pretty good from the defensive side. So I think you look at, who is the best person to get the most out of your football team and to provide ways to win games. I've seen it work in lots of different ways. Probably influenced by Bill Cowher, the last 3 years of him sitting there telling me defense still matters, and I think you're looking for the best football coach, whether it be offense, defense, whatever. You're just looking for the right person in that spot. But I do think, like I mentioned a little bit before, you're looking for people that connect with players, understand how to push players and get the best out of players. But also, are there for them, in other ways to support. I think you're looking for people who can build great staffs, and you don't do it by yourself as a head coach. You do it with the people that are around you as well. And football, more so than any other sport, it requires a team, whether that's a team of coaches, support staff, front office, scouting. It's all about the team. So you're looking for people, somebody who can bring people together. Not only the players, but the building, the staff. Like, that stuff matters, in my opinion.
Yeah, the other part of that matters a great deal is bringing them all together, having a common vision, whether you're talking about on the coaching side or the GM side, et cetera, or players. But it's also, after you've laid all that out, holding those individuals fully accountable for their work. So we want to be sure that we have a head coach and a GM, for that matter, and Matt, who are prepared to do that. It's relatively, I wouldn't say easy. It's easier to lay out visions, to everybody salute the same flag, et cetera. But in the battle that takes place to win games and to win championships, you're going to have some people that not making it. You may have an opportunity to supplement, train, move them, et cetera, if it makes sense. But if it doesn't make sense, you also have the responsibility to the vision, the organization, to our fans, to the system, forget about to me, but to the franchise, to hold people fully accountable for their work. And if necessary, then you have to make a move and move on.
Go back right, home team.
Home team, Brandon Leak, Sports Radio 680 The Fan. Matt, congratulations. Good luck to you. Your thoughts on what the culture of the Atlanta Falcons has been and was when you were playing, and now that you command a tremendous amount of power, what you want it to be with your coaches and your GM moving forward. And then the second part, you talked about unfinished business for both you and Mr. Blank. How gratifying would it be? I mean, you guys work hard, you have a lot of work to do, but how gratifying would it be if you two could win a championship now with your capacity as president of football now?
I think it'd be pretty gratifying. I think everybody sets out with that expectation. If you're in this, that is the goal, and that's the North Star of where you want to head. But the trick is how you get there. And you said it, culture. It's really, to me, it's what Arthur was talking about. The best cultures are the ones that are a shared vision of the group. And it's a group that, when the vision is not correct, they get it correct fast, and they hold each other accountable to getting it corrected and heading in the right direction. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a group, of people, and a lot of that is here. Like that is one of the things I know, of having been here. We've got people who are excellent at what they do and are rowing in the right direction. We just need a little bit more, and that's what we're going to get after and try and find the right leadership to steward that. So it's a culture of accountability for sure. It's a culture of energy and passion, and it's a culture of people who love playing, who love football. And I find, in my experience as a player, I could get along with a lot of different personalities so long as you love playing. And if you loved it, we're going to be just fine.
The other thing I would add to that is that you certainly want a head coach or any leader in an organization who not only holds, in this case, players responsible, but holds the coaches responsible also. So it's not just, the players, whatever it may be, but, your own staff. And it really, in my view, from a head coach standpoint, has to start with that. You have to show players that you're holding yourself and your coaching staff fully responsible as you hold them responsible as well and fully accountable. The other word I wouldn't use with Matt is power. We don't like to use that word any place. He has the authority, but hopefully it doesn't turn into power. It's, a matter of how do you use that authority and communicate effectively and get the results you're looking for.
Victor on your left.
Hey, Matt, congratulations. You touched on it a little earlier, but you have the family in the front row. Just how important is it for you to come into this position, come back to this building, and be in this, competitive position when now your kids are a little older to see dad and just, be in this role?
They're all laughing at me, so.
You know what I miss most about playing? Yelling, "Hey!" So I got this job. Pizza? Mom! I don't miss that.
Get our biggest pizza, the Big New Yorker, for just $10 at Pizza Hut.
No, I mean, it is. I've said it before. I think little boys see better than they hear, and you've got to show them. And so, and show them the example of what you want. That's one thing professionally. It's also as a husband, as a father. You want to create a great example for them. So I try and do that in every part of my life.
Got time for one more. Taryn?
Arthur, my question is for you. Beatles has been with this team for more than 3 decades now. How do you see him continuously grow year over year, regardless of what role he's in?
The question is for me? I'm sorry. Oh, well, I think, Greg, he's always learning. He's always listening. He's always responding. He's heavily involved in our stadium. He's heavily involved in our involvement in the community. He's heavily involved in the atmosphere, the culture we have in the building, and in every way supporting our coaches and general managers and, all the staff that's here. There's continued ways to grow into that. I mean, part of his success is measured not by those things only, but by, are we winning? Are we doing the right things to support the whole organization so the whole organization is moving forward? A lot of Matt's success will be dependent not only on the things he has direct responsibility for, but other parts of the building that'll impact the players, the coaches, general manager, and the staff, and Matt. So we want to make sure we have that, just like we want that collaboration between the head coach and general manager, we want that collaboration between Greg Beatles and Matt Ryan as well. So he's done an incredible job for us for a very long period of time, and I couldn't be prouder of Greg and the opportunities that he's developed and created and fulfilled for us and his current leadership.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, that was it. Over an hour. I apologize for any ad interruptions, but that is the new president of football for the Atlanta Falcons, who we all know very well, Matt Ryan. his first remarks, or I guess being introduced as the president of football for the Atlanta Falcons. Just some takeaways. Number one, just really some of the stuff. Obviously, I noted it. The fact that we are seeing Josh Blank come more into the picture, which I'm personally not shocked by. I figure that he would definitely have a say in all of this. Another thing too I want to talk about is Greg Beatles. I got to be honest with y'all. I don't think we know a whole lot about Greg Beatles, and I think one thing I can say is, Greg Beatles is not going to be making these football decisions. He shouldn't be making the football decisions because I mean, he doesn't know a lick about football. He's there to essentially find the tax loopholes and create the most profit. But at the end of the day, there's a business side to it, so you do understand why he's there. But I've pretty much said this. I think for this role, and we got some clarity on the role. Now there's still some questions I do have, but I do think that this role, I think it fits Matt very well, considering that Mr. Blank said that Matt Ryan is specifically in charge of making sure the team is winning football games. There were some bold statements, I feel like made, or essentially, those three men, or especially Arthur Blank and Matt Ryan, essentially calling their shot, saying that this is about winning football games. This is about putting a better product out on the field. He talked about his wife, his children, and how much he is, still part of the community. He never left this city. Let's be very clear about that. Actually, even when he did spend that year in Indianapolis, I don't think he ever sold his home in Atlanta, matter of fact. So, I definitely do think that, that's important to consider. This isn't, you're not bringing some executive in from another town, who, has essentially been programmed. You're bringing someone in who is a legend for this team, who knows Mr. Blank pretty well, has, been with this team essentially, at the height of its existence, the height of the city of Atlanta, and as we know, what immediately followed was the lowest point for this franchise. So, he knows what the highs and the lows are of the team. He's obviously been here when we've won 13 games. He's been on teams here in Atlanta that have had 12 losses. So he has seen the good, he's seen the bad. But I do think it's also worth noting, and this is just kind of one of the things. This role in particular, and the I guess the control it has, we learned some clarity about it, where essentially Matt Ryan is just an extra layer of a supervisor, is what it almost sounds like. He's there to check what's happening and really continue to get the pulse on what is going on day to day between the head coach and the general manager. He said he's not going to be scouting, which, I will say I think there was some uncertainty. Is he going to be at the combine? I mean, he still might be at the combine, but is he going to be leading these scouting meetings? Is he going to be doing this, doing that? He's not. He's essentially a supervisor. He is at the end of the day, this president of football, it's a glorified supervisor layer between the GM and the owner. Now, I think one thing that I also think is, I think needs to be stated is, I've said my fair share about Arthur Blank as an owner, but I will acknowledge that, back in 2007 when that whole situation happened with Vic going to prison, and I mean that in itself, Arthur Blank felt betrayed because Michael Vick straight up lied to him, told him nothing was going on, if Michael Vick would have confessed, he would have he wouldn't have had to do any prison time. He probably would have gotten the minimal amount of punishment from the NFL. Arthur Blank would have hooked him up with the best legal defense team he could find. And listen, Arthur Blank, as a Jewish billionaire, has access to the best legal resources in the world that maybe even could have gotten Michael Vick off with at most a slap on the wrist, even at that. And that was a mistake that Michael Vick made, and Michael Vick learned from that mistake. You also then had Bobby Petrino and that whole fiasco, and that really affected how Mr. Blank trusts these GMs, trusts these head coaches with control over the team. I mean, a lot of people, Rich McKay has been Arthur Blank's right-hand man for 20 plus years, and up until, increasingly this point, I did not get one sense, one feeling of Rich McKay in that building today, which I will definitely say, I would definitely like to see, and I hope it stays that way. I hope I hope Rich McKay no longer has an office up in Flowery Branch. I hope it's been cleared out. I hope they've replaced his office with Matt Ryan's office now, because Rich McKay should no longer, for the rest of his life, be anywhere near anything related to the Atlanta Falcons. I don't even care if it is just going through a monthly profit report. He should be nowhere near this organization. But with that being said, this is a lot for Mr. Blank to do, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think out of, this was essentially, they can talk all they want about the interview process. This role was created for Matt Ryan. I mean, that interview process, I don't think it was necessarily a falsie. What I do think it more so was is they wanted to talk to some guys. I think those are all guys they're considering as GM candidates. And, they can say all they want. They really can't say it explicitly. But those are guys that they're considering as GM candidates. Ian Cunningham, Josh Williams, Mike Denser, Brant Tillis. They're considering those guys as GM candidates. It's widely rumored that Ian Cunningham will be this team's general manager. And I've made a video on Ian Cunningham already. But this was a position created for Matt Ryan. And don't get that mistaken by any sense of the account. This is, I really think, the most trust that Arthur is putting into somebody, in nearly 20 years. To actually, it's one thing to go out and play quarterback and be a player. It's a whole other thing to essentially this is the first time that, it truly feels like someone other than Arthur Blank or Rich McKay is center stage. That is Matt Ryan. And I'm going to be honest, this is probably the only person that Mr. Blank would trust. And I really can't blame him there. But, I still, the only thing I'm going to put against it that I, kind of honestly don't like, and I guess you could say Matt cleared it up in a sense, and it could be just a timing thing with how these searches are being ran. I think we saw that when Arthur Smith was hired before Terry Fontenot, that was a clear mistake. I don't think Terry Fontenot had much say in who got hired as head coach. It's a mistake the Falcons, I don't think, can make again, especially if Matt is going to kind of take this seated supervisor role where he's, just, if he feels like he needs to check something, he will, but he's going to largely let the GM and the coach run the show. You need to find a GM that is comfortable working with his head coach, essentially. You don't need to go out and pick a head coach, and then you go and pick a GM and they don't have the same vision. That's just not going to work, and they touched on that as well. So, listen, overall it was everything you wanted to hear. Matt Ryan has, I don't think, ever been known for having a bad press conference. He's always had good answers. He's always going to be that way, I believe. That's what I think. I mean, listen, Matt Ryan is the greatest player in Atlanta Falcons history. There is, I mean, as I've said, the only player I think that gives him any competition for that is Deion Sanders. So you got to realize that, there's not a better person to do this than Matt. But there's still, I don't think, a guarantee. I think you want to be encouraged off what you've heard. You want to look at this and go, it could actually end up working. But you don't know if it's going to or not. And I still think that's the thing. Now, I definitely think there's a dedication to do so. I think Matt understands that there's a dedication, because as I said earlier, he's been a part of the highs and the lows of the lows, and understands that there is a clear need to succeed. It's been nearly a decade without any playoffs. What's up, OG?
What's going on, man?
Hey, you gotta watch the press conference. Why? Right? I know you've been all around these YouTube streets, but you did get to watch it, right?
To my with Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Oh,
I have not. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's good to look at it for content, but by me having my position about this restructuring of the personnel in the office, I'm kind of waiting to see the hiring of the general manager and the hiring of the head coach, so forth, so on. I'm hoping that they do get the general manager before they hire a head coach. I'm gonna check him out, though. I'm gonna check him out.
Yeah, well, I just played the whole thing. Man, I mean, pretty much what it was is, they talked about his experience here as a player. He thanked his family. They talked about, I'll let you watch for yourself, but, just to give you a rundown, they talked about, like what his role. One of the things I also thought was interesting is that you can definitely tell he's been rushing into this. You can tell he's new in aspects. Because, one of the things that kind of was pointed out is that after these searches conclude, they're still trying to figure out what his role is. So that goes and shows me that there isn't clear vision. What I think his role is going to be is, I essentially think he's he's going to be a seated supervisor is what it sounds like. It sounds like he's obviously going to have a seat at the table. He's going to, be that fun before, and he's essentially going to be, he's going to be the liaison for Mr. Blank for the GM and the head coach, but it ain't just going to be any liaison. It's going to be someone who actually has a knowledge of the game, is able to provide that input. But this is why I say you can definitely tell that this was a role created just for him, and really not for anyone else, because at the end of the day, man, they're letting him pick the, GM and head coach, and then after that, they're saying they're going to figure it out on the fly, which, it isn't, I don't know if you know what to make of that, really, but, that's kind of where we are right now.
And that's why, I was hoping that they would have retained at least, which I knew wasn't going to happen if Raheem got fired, but at least retain Terry Fontenot, at least for the next season.
Well,
that way it wouldn't be just a big hole in the chain of command up there.
Well, they're establishing the chain of command, but I can understand as far as experience goes. Sure.
Uh-huh.
But once again, you look at similar situations like what's going on down in Jacksonville. They just had a great season. Tony Baselli, who is I think they're the best player maybe in their franchise's history. He's sitting there and he's essentially playing a similar role to what I believe Matt Ryan is going to play, where he's essentially that bridge between the GM and the owner. So, you know what I mean? But I think it's definitely interesting. I'll tell you this from the press conference. This is the most trust that Arthur Blank has put into somebody, you know, in really ever since he hired Rich McKay. There's a lot of trust being put in Matt Ryan. There's never been a president of football here before, and you know, I can't guarantee where it's gonna go. I want to feel good about it. I think I can feel good about it, but you know, at the end of the day, like you got to remember, Matt Ryan's so new here, and that's why I say, you know, I have my choice of who I want them to pick as head coach. I don't know if they're going to go in that direction.
Well, I I will say this. This is my opinion that some of that hire was for marketing. I think it had
Oh
something to do
yeah,
with it.
yeah.
You know, to bring back some trust from from the fan base. Bring back some trust. Bring somebody in that pretty much a majority trust this guy. Not that he don't have experience in the NFL. He has different experiences in the NFL. Um, some of the I don't know about the resume part. I don't know how strong his resume is, other than he has the intangibles like being a leader, being in the bright lights, um, knowing how the Falcons. He know the Falcons. Can't take that away
Oh
from him. He
yeah.
knows the Falcons inside and
Man,
out.
he said that this is literally the only place he would ever do this at.
Right.
If it weren't for us, he'd still be sitting there in front of a TV, and I mean he talked about the prep and all that, but man, I guarantee you that's
Right.
going to still be a whole lot less stressful than this job's going to be.
Yeah, because now it's something, you can't overlook anything. And, I guess commentating is more, just keep up on your research, knowing the teams, knowing the players,
And
you know,
make no
week to week.
mistake, there was a mandate put forth by Mr. Blank during all this, and I mean he said it explicitly. Matt's focus is explicitly to win us football games and ensure that that is happening, that the team is in the best position to do that. So we're going to see if that can happen. I think Matt Ryan is definitely capable of bringing that, but we're going to see, and that starts with getting this GM and head coach right.
Now, one of my concerns is, and it's not a bad concern in my opinion, is how far is Matt Ryan's reach going to be as far as how he deal with this franchise, because I think that his quarterback experience can really pay dividends, if they use it properly, if they allow him to just, have some input other than just the coaching and all of that. Have some kind of hands-ons with whoever we are. We still connected?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but I
But
mean,
yeah,
that's exactly what he said. He said Michael Penix. I've talked to him a lot. I've developed a good relationship with him, but at the end of the day, I'm not a quarterback coach. I'm the president of football.
well, I'm glad he established that, but I'm just one of them kind of guys that,
Oh yeah,
when it
I'm that
comes
way
down to
too.
winning, when it comes to like putting together something and making it work the best it can work, I want all hands on deck.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm that way too. Um, yeah, and I definitely think that's gonna, especially. I mean, everything we're hearing is that Michael Penix is the guy. That they're gonna, whatever move they need to make this season to get someone in here to start the first however so many games, so be it. But they're planning on Michael Penix returning sometime next season. Now, whether that's could Penix be the guy here? Yes. I don't think anyone would be more thrilled to see that than me. But also, as far as next season goes, because let's be clear. Even though there's going to be a new GM and head coach, the Falcons are in that position where, man, there's a mandate that's been set forward. There's a clear mandate that's been set forward by Mr. Blank that we need to start winning football games. And also, Matt Ryan was saying it himself. He's kind of set that mandate. When he was on TV on Sunday, he said that, he told Coach Cowher that in a year, you should be talking about the Falcons being in the playoffs. And I certainly hope that's the case.
Well, it's going to depend on the next two hires.
Yeah.
To where I would even attempt to open my mouth about the possibility of seeing postseason.
No. But,
you know
that's...
what I'm saying?
Yeah, but, listen, that's absolutely right. But, that's a standard that has to be set. But, you're right. That's why I say, so far, I think, things look promising. Things look up, But I'm gonna need to see the coaching hire. I'm gonna need to see the GM hire. I'm gonna need to see what their approach is. And I've been pretty clear with, Kubiak's my number one guy. I think when you look at where the NFL is going, Clint Kubiak runs an offense that could be suited for success for a lot of these guys and success in today's league. And honestly, after Kubiak, I would probably put Harbaugh, actually. I think it's either, do you want to go with the young experience or the young offensive coordinator that has a lot of potential? Do you want to go with the experienced Super Bowl winning head coach? Those should be your top two options right now. They've interviewed both those guys.
But don't Harbaugh want $20 million?
Listen, you gotta match it up. You gotta examine it. You gotta look at it. That's why I say, man, the way I look at it is this: if you're gonna get me to the playoffs, you're gonna get me competing. Listen, we saw it this year. It don't take a lot to win this division. It don't. I need you to get me in the playoffs. I need you to establish a culture here. Now for $20 million, I don't know, but at the same time, I'm also in a position where whatever Clint Kubiak wants, give it to him. Because as much as I've talked about Harbaugh, I think Harbaugh could be successful. He's number 2. Kubiak's number 1 for me. Kubiak wants $20 million, I'd give it to him. Shoot.
That's kind of high for an inexperienced head coach.
Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And you look at where the league is going now. But
so if Kubiak comes in, he's pretty much gonna call his own plays.
Oh yeah. But hey,
so then the offensive coordinator is not gonna really cost us much money then.
Yeah, I guess you could put it. Hey, there's still a reason Greg Beals is there.
Well, yeah. Well, Greg Beals, one thing about that guy, he's probably the only one that's up in that building that really started from the bottom and came up.
Hey man, I was thinking about it. They were talking about it. He's been there for over 30 years, man. He was there when the Smith family still owned the team. And he even touched on that he was a part of when it was sold to Mr. Blank.
Wow. Yeah, so he knows some old secrets.
Oh yeah. You talk about back. He came in under the Smith family.
But I'm wondering why he wasn't considered for that position, that Rich McKay. Well, I guess they kind of made the position, but why he wasn't, that we know of, considered for that position.
Yeah.
With them many years of experience, he's learned something.
Oh, yeah. Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of things. But I mean, as I've said, I would. This is how I would rank it right now. I'd put Kubiak. I'd put Harbaugh second. Kubiak would be one. Harbaugh would be two. Stefanski would be three. And, I mean, those are my top three. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. And it won't shock me if these motherfuckers come out and hire Mike McDaniel. And I don't want that to... I would love Mike McDaniel here as an offensive coordinator, depending on who the head coach is. But I don't want Mike McDaniel here as head coach. But at the same time, it wouldn't shock me one bit, especially knowing... I mean, Matt has a relationship with him. And honestly, I mean, if they did that, you know, unless... if it was the GM that gave the approval to it, kind of be a different story. But if they hire Mike McDaniel, I can't lie, you know, it's going to kind of be, going to kind of be a little bit underwhelming for, Matt's first big move as the president.
Why would you say that?
I mean, listen, I look at Mike McDaniel and I say, the fact is that he's a great offensive mind. I think he'd make a great coordinator. The reason why I say that is because you look at Mike McDaniel as a head coach. In all honesty, you're gonna have similar issues as with Raheem Morris. Now listen, when Miami was winning with Mike McDaniel, he was a goofball. He got up there, he made you laugh. But when they lost, he almost had no answers. It's like he didn't know what the hell was going on. You've already had too much of that here, man. There's a reason Mike McDaniel ended up getting fired in Miami. I mean, shoot, they were about to keep him. But then the new GM told them, no, you can't keep this dude. This dude is a problem. And I mean, man, listen.
That's what happens.
Look at the Dolphins. Look at the Dolphins and the talent they have. They got a pretty spectacular running back. I don't think he's as good as Bijan, but he's pretty spectacular. They got... I mean, just look at what they have, man. They got... I mean, they have Waddle. They had Hill before he got injured. Now, could Tua have been a problem? Sure. But at the same time, that team, they couldn't go out and they couldn't play in cold weather. I don't care where you're playing. It's the NFL. He couldn't win a damn important game to save his life. You gotta be able to survive those elements if you want to win in this league.
Yeah, that's why you have to take advantage of winning those games that are favorable for you.
Yeah.
In case you get into them inclement situations where your team just don't play well. That's just how it goes. You have to be strategic when you do that. I know you want to win every game, but sometimes the deck is stacked a little different from week to week.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how in your prediction, how long do you think it's going to be before we get these positions filled?
Man,
let's say the general manager and the head coach.
Man, what's today? The Tuesday, the 13th.
Yeah.
It's I'll say at least another The earliest, and you got to remember, man, this probably depends a lot on how these playoffs go. Because, I mean, the guy we're looking at for general managers with Chicago, you can't hire him until the Bears are out of the playoffs. Now, if they get eliminated this weekend, I could see the GM being hired as early as maybe a week from now or a little over a week from now. Maybe by the end of next week. Maybe for, I mean, that's best case for the GM and a coach. But man, I mean, this could drag out. Depending on who we're targeting, this could potentially drag out until right before or even after the Super Bowl. Because listen, okay, let's say Seattle goes to the Super Bowl. Clint Kubiak's the offensive coordinator. I mean, and this is the same situation we had with Shanahan when we were in the Super Bowl and he was getting ready to go to San Francisco. Even if it's pretty damn apparent that he's going somewhere, you can't officially hire them until their season is over.
So, well, everybody knew Shanahan was gone.
Yeah. So this could drag out until right after the Super Bowl if we're targeting, especially, say, Clint Kubiak and Seattle goes to the Super Bowl. But my prediction, we should have it resolved, unless something like that happens. I would think if it's, I would think we should have it resolved by within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's feasible. That's why I'm saying I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I'm not gonna go either way with it. I'm just gonna wait and see. And hopefully that'll give Matt Ryan, time to kind of move around in that space and learn.
Hopefully
learn
so.
some other stuff, because it would have been kind of, it would have been to his disadvantage at this point to have to make decisions this week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, right now with the playoffs the way they are, and some of those guys are going to come out of there, based off of whether they win or lose, that's going to be a plus for him. So now he can do some studying leading up to that.
Hey, what do you think about the new uniforms? That announcement.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be. I think I'm gonna take it better than I did when they changed the logo. I didn't really like it, but because I like the old, the old logo and the old color schemes and all of that. But I finally bought into it. So
now
I like the gray pants. I love the gray pants.
Yeah. Now, in my opinion, look, I think that's what we need to go. I think we need to go back to that old logo. Are they going to? I don't know, but I have heard that these new jerseys, they should definitely look. They essentially should be a modern throwback look. Essentially, the old jerseys and a red helmet, just with the current logo slapped on it. I wouldn't mind that.
Well, yeah, that'll work. And the red, I like the red helmet with the little gold stripe in it. I like that.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
So yeah. But hey, man, I'm not gonna. A lot of people really are passionate about that. About stuff like that. I'm not, but I'm not knocking them. But I want this team to get it together and just become competitive. Cause yeah, the South, man, I think that's what hurt a lot of coaches that come to Atlanta, man. You can't. We're not even really being like really competitive in this division, which is pretty much considered weak. You just sent a team with a losing record to the playoffs, and that was because they won the division. I mean, I'll take it, but as long as they don't put my record up there, I'll take it.
Shoot,
like, yeah, you got in the playoffs at 8 and 9. They be like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it
Yep.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I say, and I'll continue. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's supposed to be an exciting time because, I mean, it's something new. And, I'm going to explain it to y'all. Whenever you got something new at the end of the day, you're always going to get a little excited over it. Because you're always going to want to see what it looks like. For the most part. I mean, hell, that's how it was a few years ago when we hired Raheem. You wanted to see what it looked like again. Because, I mean, I'll tell y'all this much. They did an amazing job selling the Raheem hire a few years ago until the moment that team stepped out on the field.
Yeah, but again, and I'm not knocking nobody, but like I said earlier, I think that, all of this plays hand in hand with initially with the fan base
Mm-hmm.
because of, the direction that the fans were going. Even with, I never did it, but, people were threatening to let their PSLs go and, you know,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
people not show up.
let's be clear, man. Like, Mr. Blank, his hand was forced. I'm not saying Mr. Blank doesn't care about this team's success genuinely. His hand was forced in this situation. Let's call a spade for a spade and what it is, what it is. His hand was
Right?
forced.
Yes, it was.
So, look, when the people, and I mean, he talked about it, and this is the same model he had at Home Depot. The fans are first. They're priority number one. The consumer is priority number one. And he's always going to try to take care of the consumer because he quote unquote cares about you, but in reality, he just wants you to keep coming back and giving you his money. That's the entire strategy behind it.
Yep. That's what it is. But we're also that letter and then his press conference. I need to go back and just kind of like count the many times that he said the fans, you the fans, because we're also being set up to be thrown under the bus. Because I've heard, it's already bad enough for the fans from a fan base. Even some of the commentators talk about the Falcons fan base, how fickle the fan base is.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, even to podcast content creators, they talk junk about the fans. The fans want this, the fans want that, the fans, this is what y'all wanted, and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, yeah, it matters. The fans matter. But I think to a certain extent, if you're trying to be successful, you still have to function. You have to do what's best for the business. And that might include what they're doing, but don't let the fans force you into doing something that's not going to be productive later. You want a long-term success other than a quick fix, a quick solution. No, we don't want that. Yeah, you can go in a different direction than what I think you should go, as long as it makes sense. And sometimes stuff just don't work. That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, you saw a lot of, I mean, look, if you watch that press conference, you're going to see a lot of times during that press conference, just based on body language, Arthur Blank and Matt Ryan leaning into each other, talking with each other. They obviously love and care each other, a lot. And I mean, Mr. Blank trusts him with this position. He probably wouldn't trust anyone else with this position. So his position was created specifically for him for that reason. But, this is really, I also think, everyone talks about how much of the, could this, make or potentially even break Matt Ryan's legacy in Atlanta. Man, this could also make or break Mr. Blank as well. Because, man, if this doesn't work, as much as you're going to want to criticize Matt Ryan saying, oh, he's the guy in charge now. He's the guy in charge. Listen, let me say this. And I don't, think that I'm not going to make an excuse for Matt Ryan. If it's evident that he fucks up. But at the same time, he said it himself. This is the only place he'd ever do this for. He wouldn't go, man, Matt Ryan, if this don't work for him, he's got a job in TV waiting, or he's already made so much money, he can retire. The thing with Mr. Blank, though, is that, and Mr. Blank probably won't necessarily have to live it, because as we know, Mr. Blank has seen more days, past him than what is to come. Even though I would still say that, he seems, more coherent than, some other people his age. At the end of the day, you can say all you want about Matt. If this doesn't work, there's no hiding, Arthur Blank from the fact that, he just has not been able to get it as an owner in these last, however so many years if this doesn't work out. Now, honestly, I don't think this is going to work out. I get a good feeling from it. I'm not willing to go and place money on it. I'm still going to have to see it. I get a good feeling from it. I think that Matt Ryan is one of the few guys I can actually trust with this. However, at the same time, it's still an unknown. And it's still a gamble.
Yeah, I can go with that. It is a gamble.
So.
But hey, we rolling the dice right now, so I guess it ain't gonna matter.
And sometimes if you wanna if you don't just want to be average, but you want to be great, you got to roll that dice.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. You're seeing it. Sometimes, man, you can't just settle for the average hire or the safe hire. You gotta wait it out, or you gotta make the move that's gonna, make things maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable to really get to where you actually could be. See, that's the situation the Falcons are in right now.
Yeah. Look, they probably working right now, man.
Oh yeah.
I hope they.
They listen. They're getting a list together right now. They're getting lists together. I mean, they're doing all that. They're talking to people's agents, all sorts of stuff. I mean, that's just what you gotta understand. They're working. Like, there ain't no denying it. Shoot. I mean, now they ain't announced an interview today, I believe. The last one they announced was McDaniel, but they're getting it done. I mean, who are I want to say the 6 we've done interviews with so far are Kubiak, Harbaugh, the Seahawks defensive coordinator, Durade, or however you say that dude's name, McDaniel, Stefanski, and Weaver. Those are the 6 they've done interviews with. So they'll probably, in all, end up interviewing. Man, how many did we interview when we hired Raheem Morris? About 14? And I mean, we passed up on about 5 very solid options, maybe 6. And we landed probably about the worst one you could have landed, and we saw the hell that went. That's why a lot of people are expecting, this to be resolved within a week or so. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, too. I think at the earliest, a week and a half, probably more so, realistically, 2 weeks before you actually see a resolution to this. And that ain't a bad thing. if you got to wait it out and you just got to be the highest bidder for Clint Kubiak, I'm at the point, man, so be it. Because even though I do think there's other good candidates, I think Kubiak is that top one.
Well, I didn't think he was his resume was as solid as it was till I seen your video. Then I did a little, did a little dive on him. Yeah, he's decent now. Yeah, he's decent.
Yeah. Like I've said, it's you got to understand with these candidates, and when you're looking at for coaches in this league, there's some very important things you got to look for, and one of the most important things, man, that you have to look for is who could have sustained success long term. I mean that's the thing, man. You got to look at who can sustain success both short and long term. Like that's just a thing. You got to set yourself up, in that situation. I can understand the circumstance now of maybe going and getting a Harbaugh, or maybe even going and like getting Mike McCarthy even. But like at the end of the day, if you look at it overall, Kubiak's probably a guy that, in this division, he could step in with this roster and probably take this and, could, I don't want to say definitively take the team to the playoffs because, it is a tough schedule next year. But he could stand a chance to do it year one. And, you continue building, you don't know what that could lead to. Comes from a great football family. His father's won a Super Bowl. He's been around the league. He's made connections. Shoot. And Cunningham, has been in Philadelphia. He's been in Baltimore. Worked with Roseman. Worked with Ozzie Newsome in Baltimore. So these could be solid guys. You just gotta have all your ducks in a row. But I want to remind y'all. What the only thing that matters, and this is what we all need to learn, is what happens out on that field. That's the only way you're truly going to be able to judge these coaches.
That's right. That's very true.
But shoot, man. You're talking about a new era for this team. You're talking about, new uniforms. You're talking about a new head coach, a new GM. Matt Ryan is back running things. Listen. This is everything I said needed to happen. They're doing the facelift. So now, you got to go and you got to reflect that this is going to be a new team. That means actually going together. That means not fizzling out in the month of November anymore.
Yeah, that was bad, man. That we were,
not going on
out of the daggone playoffs so early.
Yeah, we ended up tying for the lead in the division.
And because of some hiccups, couldn't even wiggle out of that one. Yep. Couldn't even wiggle out of that one. So, hey man, I as long as the majority is okay with it, I'm gonna sit back and let it work itself out.
Yeah.
Cause now, but believe it or not, phase one of the rebuild of the Falcons is successful. They've got new hope. They've got new optimism for this team. They made the moves they had to make, and like I said last week, Arthur Blank made some cold-blooded moves. You know, he made some cold-blooded moves, and you know, I think that they hit the target.
Yeah.
I think him and Rich McKay hit the target. So,
Well, I know you ain't
hey
talking
man,
about Rich
get the
McKay
thing.
now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Rich McKay is and it was said before, he was a marketing genius. So, hey man,
He shouldn't be
I'll take
anywhere
a
near. He
lick.
shouldn't be anywhere near the Falcons. Come on, man.
Oh, he got his hands in the cookie jar now.
Hey, nah.
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right.
listen. I ain't saying you wrong though. I'm just saying
There's
if
nothing
he,
wrong with it though. There's nothing wrong with it.
you saying there's nothing wrong with it, but I mean, man, look. You look at where this previous. This is why we having to do. Why we had to pull Matt Ryan out of the analyst off the analyst desk and you know put him back up in Flowery Branch. Because I mean, Rich McKay
Let me,
couldn't do it.
but let me put it to you like this. This is how I look at it. With all of the experience that Rich McKay has, if Matt Ryan had a situation going on that he's thinking about, that Rich McKay probably knows how to handle. You don't think that he's going to reach out to Rich McKay?
If I'm Matt Ryan, I'm also thinking, well, who else might know about this situation that I know? If Bill Cowher would know an answer to this situation, I'm going to reach out to him before I'll reach out to Rich McKay. Hey, man, you know how I am with Rich McKay.
Yeah. But see, that's when you have to. That's when you have to separate everything.
And I mean, listen, they know I can be petty when I want to. So I mean, shoot, I'm blocking Rich McKay's number, never entertaining that fool again.
I think that's a playing card that you need to hold on to. I think that's a card you need to hold on. You need to hold on to it, buddy.
If that's what you would do, hey, that's you, OG. But that
I will
ain't
hold on to that one.
that
Boy.
ain't what. Nah, that card's going straight into the trash.
So is that from a personal standpoint?
Well, okay. Let's look at what Matt Ryan has been specifically assigned to do. Okay.
All right.
And I've already said it like 2 or 3 times. And this is coming from the boss himself. Matt Ryan and his role is to be in charge of winning us football games. Let me ask you something now. When you had a number of years ago Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith reporting to Rich McKay, how many wins did we get by season?
Well, we went with
It was one number each year.
they were losing seasons. Yeah. But see,
we won 7 games each year. Okay. Then, because, I mean, listen, they know Rich McKay's a problem. So they tell us when they hire Raheem, even though Raheem was a Tampa guy, and Raheem first started in Tampa when Rich McKay was there, that Rich McKay had been removed from day to day. And that Arthur Blank is who Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris would report to. But then we get this interview from Rich McKay that he is still in the weekly meetings.
Right.
And the team still is still having a losing record. So Rich McKay, and maybe it just comes down to Rich McKay, he's not able to put his full focus on the Falcons. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it's that he has been assigned too much shit that he can't care too much about the Falcons. That he'll be up your ass But he'll just be up your ass to be up your ass. Maybe he's just taking maybe he was just taking his frustration out on Terry Fontenot. Because he just got off a rough business call. He was taking his frustration out on Arthur Smith. That's why he would go and harass those guys 25 times a week. Maybe that's what it was. But it damn sure wasn't helping. And see, that's why you got Matt with one job, to be in charge of making sure this team is winning football games. So as far as I'm concerned, man, Rich McKay, with how they're talking, how full his schedule is, he shouldn't have time for any other phone call than the 500 he's already got in his daily schedule that they talked about. Now, you're right. He'll probably still be in that stadium. But if I see him on the sideline, I see him talking to the head coach, the general manager, whoever that might be. We still hear reports of him and Flowery Branch. And this team don't get any better next year, you're going to know the problem is still around.
Well, don't he have to be with the NFL team in some capacity to be on the committee, on the competition committee?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, listen, he doesn't have a role currently on the Atlanta Falcons. As I say, first time in 22 years he doesn't have a title. His title and the job that he essentially did, that now belongs to Matt Ryan. So there is no reason for Rich McKay to be involved. And I'm also be honest about what you said too, and don't take any offense to it. What you just said about Matt, and I understand, sure, Matt Ryan and Rich McKay, they know each other, but saying that Matt should reach out to Rich McKay for advice, to me, and maybe it's just me, maybe this is just me being very petty towards Rich McKay. That's like saying whoever this new head coach is going to end up being should reach out to Raheem Morris for advice.
Well, Raheem don't have the seniority and time on the job that Rich McKay has, and this is just a difference because of where Rich McKay was at. He was up in there in the big house, so there's a difference, in my opinion, that I'm talking about. So
I understand. Listen, I understand all that. But like I'm going to continue saying, Rich McKay had his time in the big house. It's done. He failed. And he's, listen, he clearly has a specialty in some other things. So let him focus on that specialty and other things, and let him be out of anything associated with the Atlanta Falcons and day-to-day operations.
Yeah, but you're right about that. Mr. Blank not gonna let go the Golden Goose totally. So he moved him. That was good. That was a good thing. That was part of the establishing the trust and the hope and all of the stuff that the fans need for the upcoming season.
Yeah. And I recognize that. I recognize that's what y'all got to recognize too. Everyone that's watching, make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment. The Venmo's right there. Anyone watching want to join the panel, please do so. Join the conversation. I should be on a few more minutes. But see, this is the thing that I'm really getting to. Because now, I mean, you have clearly guys with tasks. Guys who know what their roles are. You didn't have that before. So now these guys, they can focus on their specialty, they can deliver at their specialty, and we'll see where that takes this team. But one thing about it, one thing, there's some unfinished business.
That is true.
And that's just what you got to realize. There's some unfinished business. That is just the theme of it. Because as I'm going to say, Matt Ryan has been around for the highs of highs and the lows of lows.
Yeah,
and he knows what it is like when that crowd is rocking. Now we've never seen it in the Benz, but he saw it in the Georgia Dome. And I'm gonna tell you something. After so many years, I mean, y'all saw that crowd in Charlotte on Saturday. Shoot, they were rocking for that team. I can guarantee you could get that same type of energy here. And that's what we need. And that could truly set this thing on fire and give this thing some actual momentum. Because you got to actually dip your feet in and show that you're actually capable of doing it. Not just flashes, but that flash has to hold for a little bit. And it has to actually show some true results. And if you're able to do that, though, people are going to get hyped up. And you're going to be able to create something very special. But you got to get these hires right. And then you got to figure out what you're doing at quarter. I mean, listen, they've said what they're going to do at quarterback. They've said that Michael Penix is their guy, that they're going to wait for him to come back from injury. I guess they're going to try and go get someone that can, fill in for him the first however so many weeks he's going to be out, and just hope that person can right the ship. And then they're going to let Michael Penix come back, and this is going to be his show.
And we don't know when, just how the rehab's going to go. Because how you going, unless they're going to let him do a lot of film study and do some class work, during the rehabilitation process.
Well, that's what he needs to be doing anyway.
Right.
That's what he needs to be doing. And that's what, Matt might not be the quarterback coach, but, and he shouldn't even have to tell him this, but that's what they need to be setting up for him. Being in that film room, and especially when you get the new coach in here, the new coordinators, and all that. Position coaches, they need to be in there looking at film, looking at, okay, where are your strong suits at and where do you need to improve? And the number one thing you're going to do, you're getting your ass under center.
Let's hope.
You better,
he's going to be physically able to
well, I mean, shoot. They listen. What I'm hearing is that, man, he's got Superman knees now, is what they're saying. They're saying that his knee is it's gonna be 1,000 times better. So my takeaway from that is, then you should definitely them knees should be just fine bending a good bit under center and running some play action.
So they pulling a Steve Austin. You know who that is, don't you?
Oh yeah.
The original Steve Austin now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know nothing about that. Well, it was a show back in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. The $6 Million Man. You need to look at the intro of that on YouTube. It said we can bring him back. We can make him better than he was before. Stronger, faster. Yeah, that was a real hype beginning.
Hey, they still use stuff like that though today.
Yep.
That's where all that comes from.
Yep. $6 million man.
So
I used to love watching him.
I guess that's what Michael Penix is supposed to be.
Yep. Let me see if I can find it. But no, I can't play it. I was gonna say I could find it and play it, but now I ain't gonna do that.
Mm.
Yep.
But I mean, listen, this is what they're saying. So we're gonna see.
What? And I was thinking maybe they was going in there and just do some corrective surgery to update those knees. Cause you probably got some surgeons out there that looked at them knees and was like, man, look, we can do some things. We can put some stems in there, and we can do this and we can do that.
That better be what they're doing.
Hey man, this is the time to do it.
He better be living off stem cells right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, this is the time to do it. Cause I'm thinking you can do a lot more things during the surgery process and the rehab process, and then he'll be clean when he comes to camp.
Yeah.
And whatever, they're gonna test. They do their little testing or whatever. But hey man, I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm hoping that's what they're doing.
Hey, shoot. They better get they get that boy on some stem cells now. He might just be unstoppable.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm talking about a good dosage of stem cells.
Yep.
Shoot. Yeah. Hey, the link is there. I'll be on probably for a few more minutes.
Well, you got somebody saying they want to come in?
Man, we do have we got Carolina Panther guy up in the chat. He asked, "Is Matt gonna help choose a coach?" I mean, shoot, I don't know if you've been listening or not, but I mean that's the whole purpose of it. He ain't gonna be helping choosing a coach. He is gonna be choosing the fucking coach.
Along with the GM?
Yeah, along with the GM, yeah. So, yeah.
We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man.
Yeah.
That boy said, we have the technology to make the world's first bionic man, and Michael Penix will be that man.
Hey, you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah. That would be crazy if they bring him back and they do that. Because they show this guy, he's like running on the treadmill, he's jumping, he's lifting. That'd be crazy, man, if they do that.
Hey, maybe that's why he's been able to do all them TikTok dances. Maybe they've already, I don't know, man. Maybe they made him bionic. They just ain't revealed it yet. Maybe they gonna have a big reveal up in Flowery Branch soon.
Yep. Hey, didn't he have a shoulder injury one time too?
Shoot, yeah, I think so. Man, I'm talking about this dude has had I'm talking an injury everywhere.
Right.
He's taken a step an inch too far, and he's had an injury. But shout out to Michael Penix, though. We hope you we hope you succeed. Be a hell of a story. I'll tell you that.
Well, they saw something in him, despite the
well, I mean,
injury
shoot,
stuff,
hey, I mean the former guy saw something in him.
That's what I'm saying. The guy that
Yeah.
brought him in, they saw something in him, man. Because and I always say this, sometimes That's why I'm just a retired
And I mean, listen,
tire manufacturer.
you know,
Because I
listen.
would have never got him.
I saw something in him too, though. I mean, we also saw a little something at those first 3 games he played. I mean, you can say a breath of fresh air all you want, but I mean, if this was now this is all before this latest injury, but I mean, they had him under center. He was playing good under center. I don't know why the hell he wasn't under center when he was playing this year. The only thing that can explain it is he's been dealing with this injury, all off season. But see, man, see, this is why I say they should have been told the Falcons that this boy needs stem cells. Should have been told the Falcons he needs stem cells.
Yeah, because that injury that he took went on that hit, man. I was like, man, it's Mr. Glass over here.
Oh yeah. And you go back, you look at the photo of it, man. He knew it too. He knew exactly what it was. So I mean,
Right, it was like,
yeah.
It was like he was like, here I go again.
So I mean, shoot, I hope that don't fuck with him mentally too.
Yeah, are you gonna be able to trust that knee? How when it's gonna be you gonna trust that knee?
Yeah.
Or trust whatever.
That's why I say, even if he's back next year, he probably won't be trusting that knee much.
Yep. See, all of that plays a part too. Yep. Is he gonna be able to move around and trust that knee? That's why I'm saying, man, I will be looking to get me a quarterback for the entire season next year. And let them know it's a 1-year deal. You're auditioning for another team, or you're auditioning to remain with us as a backup.
Or you never know, depending on how good you play.
Well, that's them. I'm speaking for them. Me, it's always a competition for me.
Yeah. But listen, like on the real though, I do hope Michael. I hope they're right on Michael Penix and he ends up being our guy. I do. Listen. I think if you give Michael Penix did not have the right coaching. Okay, Zach Robinson did not know how the hell to develop a quarterback. We said, man, Kirk Cousins barely looked competent in that offense. And this was with Kirk running 90% of his own offense. That's how bad Zach was this past season. So, I mean, Michael Penix was set up in a position to fail from the start. That's why, like, when he was playing, I wasn't too hard on him. In terms of, I was thinking, man, you got to get him another coach. But now with this injury, man, I just don't know. But I hope he ends up being our guy. I do.
Yeah, man. It's all a waiting game. That's what we're doing here.
Sure,
and we have to be patient. And I hope that there's no pressure put on those guys. Even if the season starts out kind of rough.
Well, I mean, listen, they'll have to realize that, this is the first year. I mean, you almost never fire after your first year unless it's something disastrous. Raheem got a second year because of that. Shoot. That's like a common courtesy. But
yeah, I'm talking about like just having a negative reaction,
Oh yeah, situation matters. I mean, situation matters. That's why I say.
Yep. That's all I'm saying, because you know how this fan base goes as a whole. Well, man, we tough on them now.
Shoot, hey, yeah. A lot of people very fickle.